Shabbat shalom, everybody. This is Rob Shmuel. Maybe glasses off today, huh? Hope you're doing well. My shirt. Okay, as you know, I'm like fitness. What do you think? I work out because my wife is hot. I wear the shirt. I've worn it to the gym a few times. I wear it out, and people like it. So, no, it's kind of fun. And my wife got it for me for Father's Day because, well, I like the shirt. What can I say? And even though it may seem trivial. This actually fits into what we're going to talk about today. So get ready. So we have a double portion today, Matot Masei. And there are a couple of issues in the double portion that pertain to women. Now, a little bit of background first. Um, we have now caught up to the Israel schedule. So if you remember, because we out here in the diaspora, out in exile, if you will, outside of Israel, we have 2 days of the pilgrimage festivals, right? Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot. So Shavuot was Friday, Yom Shishi, and also Saturday, Shabbat. Being that it was on Shabbat, there was a special Torah reading, whereas in Israel it wasn't. So since there was a special Torah reading out here, we delayed the next Parsha till the following week, whereas in Israel they didn't. They only observe it for one day, that one Friday. It wasn't Shabbat. And the next day on Shabbat, they went into the next reading in the Shabbat schedule. So they were one ahead of us, so we had to double up in order to catch up to them. Okay. So another little thing. My grandson, as a Father's Day present, took me out to go see the movie Supergirl. Okay. What does Supergirl have to do with Torah? Okay. Well, I like the movie. Always kind of been a comic book fan, as and proud to admit it because now it's becoming vogue. When I was a kid, you read comics, you were a nerd, but now it's big business, and it was a good movie. Had action, adventure, some good characters. They had the inner conflict that I like, and it was good. Now, we had the discussion that a lot of movies where the females are the main characters don't tend to do as well as when male characters are in the forefront because people think that, oh, here we go, women's lib, empowering women, here it is in our face. Um, in some movies, that might be the case. In this movie, it wasn't. I didn't feel like it was. But that's kind of where our society is. There's been forever this dichotomy between men and women. Men were physically stronger. We went out, we did the wars, we fought wars, we did the farming, we herded the cattle and the sheep and whatever. We brought in, we were responsible for making money or whatever, or supporting our families. Whereas the woman, their job was to stay at home, raise the kids, clean the house, cook the food that we brought in, et cetera, et cetera. Now, in Judaism, it is kind of unique among a lot of the societies, ancient and modern, because it is seen as a partnership. What women do is almost more, not even almost, it is more important because women are considered to be more spiritually evolved because they create life. That's what they do. They give birth. They gestate a life in their womb for 9 months, and then they give birth, and there's your next generation. Men don't. So, because women do that, they participate directly in creating life. They're closer to God. Now, in Judaism, unfortunately, you have had our share of misogyny. That is, where men feel, oh, we're superior, and women have to basically obey us and do that. And in my mind, that's unfortunate. A lot of people point to in the opening blessings of our morning service, we have that laundry list of morning brachot. Thank you, God, for giving me, when we wake up, the ability to distinguish between day and night, for making me a Jew, for making me a free person, for giving me sight, et cetera, all those things. In the traditional versions of those prayers, here, I'll put it down so you can see it a little bit better. How's that? In the traditional version of those blessings, The fourth blessing is, thank you, God, who has not made me a woman. And the women say, thank you for having made me according to your will. Now, in the conservative and the reform movements, that prayer has been changed to thank you for making me in your image. And men and women both say that because they feel that that's a slight against women, for having not made me a woman. Okay, well, is it a slight to say for not having made me a Gentile? Because that's another version of that prayer, who have made me a Jew. And some people will defend that. And they'll say, well, the Greeks, the Romans, they were glad they were Greeks, they're Romans. A lot of people are glad of who they are. So what's the problem? Okay. What about the part about who has not made me a woman? Men have more to do in Judaism. We are considered inferior because we have those lusts. We act on those lusts, then we do stupid things. More men have cheat on their wives than wives cheat on men. If you don't believe me, look it up. Look up the statistics. Okay. Men get in more bar fights than women, right? Because we're just more aggressive. That's why we do a lot of the physical work. Women don't. They don't have those lusts, those urges. They don't have that testosterone, the X and Y. The Y has the extra chromosome, they have two X's. It's balanced out. Okay. So that's why women are spiritually more evolved than men are. And it's not a slight, it's just a matter of practicality. So when our double portion opens up and they talk about vows, and they say that if a man, a father, hears his minor daughter make a vow, or if a husband hears his wife make a vow, they have 24 hours to annul it. The men do. Now, the women don't have the reciprocal. Women can't, I mean, they can go to the guy and say, what are you, an idiot? you know, but why do men have that ability? Well, first of all, women don't have to or, obey or go along with the positive time-based commandments because they're just too busy raising their children, instilling in them social values and moral values. They also don't have the time or the inclination or the necessity to study Torah. They just kind of know it. They know laws. They know how to get along in society. So they don't need all those commandments. They don't need, to observe those positive time-based commandments, lest they're too busy taking up the household. So because they don't spend that time studying Torah, they may not be aware of the implications and ramifications of the vow they just took. Maybe it's beyond them. They said, oh, this sounds good. Maybe I'll be a Nazarite. Okay, well, you can't drink wine and you can't stay you can't attend to someone who has died. And maybe as a woman, they may need, what if a woman dies and you need a woman to attend to that person's last rites? Say they may not have thought it through. Now, with men, of course, they understand this, but women may not. Maybe they're making that vow and they have an elderly woman in their household, that they're going to need to do that with soon, right? So I'm just giving you an example. So that's part of why it is. Women just they don't study Torah. They don't need to, right? Men need to. We need to be reminded of all these laws because we're kind of rash and we're brash. It's just who we are. The other part that I want to bring up too on all right. So again, that's why women are can be their vows can be annulled by a man who knows a little bit more than the woman does. The other thing that this double portion talks about. Now, it's not in our triennial cycle. That is the first third of the double portion. But at the end of Masai, which is the second of the double portions, they revisit the daughters of Zelophehad. And remember, these are the 5 women who went to Moses and said, our father died of his own sins and he left no sons, which means when we get to the land and you're doling out property, what do we get? And even so, what if once the tribes are settled in their respective territories and the clans are settled in their respective territories, what if the same thing happens? You have a man, he only has, daughters or daughter, and he dies. Who gets the land? A brother, an uncle, somebody else that's really not, part of the immediate family. That's not right. And we said, and it's amazing even today, where in a lot of places women don't have the same rights as men. Okay, and they said, yeah, the daughters of and God told Moses, the daughters of Zelophehad spoke true, so they can hold the land. Now the issue is, okay, the tribe of Ephraim, which they were part of, said, well, they get married to somebody, say in the tribe of, you know, Simeon or Judah or something. And what happens to the land when they die? It goes to another tribe. So our tribe loses out. So the solution, the compromise was, okay, so if that happens, then women only marry within their tribe. That way the land stays within their tribe. Problem solved. So divine justice, divine fairness. There is not necessarily, there is an equality with everybody doing what they need to do based on who they are. And so it is. Okay, remember that. And Shabbat Shalom. And we love women.